Hey, Diana, did you know that talking to yourself can make you money?
Marc, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Ladies and gentlemen, jurists, and just curious, welcome to the Successful Barrister Podcast. Here you'll learn about marketing, management, and life skills for lawyers that probably won't get you disbarred. Hosted by Marc Whitehead, a seasoned lawyer who remembers when fax machines were cutting edge, and Diana Berry, attorney, COO, and the brains behind the scenes. Together, they are the legal world's most dynamic duo since statutes met regulations. So if you're looking to build a practice, not a prison, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful Barrister, where legal legends are made.
Welcome to the Successful Barrister Podcast, the podcast that discusses marketing, management, and life skills that probably won't get you disbarred. I'm Marc Whitehead, and I'm here with my co-host, Diana Berry. Hey, say hi, Diana.
Hey, everyone.
All right, and today I think we're going to have a therapy session, quite frankly, because we're going to talk about mindset. And this is an area that Diana and I frequently can kind of butt heads a little bit. Not in the sense that we both don't have the same mindset, but how it comes across and how it's interpreted can be a little tricky. So,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think I'm very clear when I talk, but you, on the other hand, have sometimes disagreed with that. I give you your say.
Yes or no. I mean, well, you do allow me to say that that's not at all true. So I'll go ahead and go on the record there. I think we're going to talk about affirmations today, as well as the importance of that and how that relates to your growth mindset. I will say that the visionary integrator relationship, which is obviously to go back to some things that we've talked about in the past, Marc being the visionary and EOS speak, entrepreneurial operating system, me being the integrator, that's going to lead to some friction sometimes. Probably, is that fair?
Fair enough. So let's reset the beginning of the conversation with what we were talking about before we came on air. So we're talking about mindset. Specifically, there's a book that we read by Carol Dweck. Title of the book is Mindset, the Psychology of Success. The premise of it is that there are two basic mindsets. A closed mindset, where you kind of think things are carved in stone.
Finite.
Things are finite. And then there's what she refers to as a growth mindset. So how does she define growth mindset?
I think the idea that your skills and your abilities can change. They're adaptable, and they can grow, obviously.
All right, so we'll be specific about how she defined it. She defined it as a belief that skills and abilities can be developed through effort, as opposed to the closed mindset belief that qualities like intelligence are fixed and innate. So I think the premise here from Carol Dweck is that a growth mindset is sort of key, from our perspective anyway, to the entrepreneurial vision. The vision that we can create value for a customer, thereby growing a business, thereby creating an organization, thereby being able to service the customer even better. It goes back to the whole flywheel that we've talked about before. But that whole idea that you need a growth mindset in order to develop a business, because you're not born innately with the talent and skills to run a business, to run a law firm like we do. I can guarantee you 30 years ago, I had no clue how to run a business. So over the years, through trial and error, through educating myself, through hanging around smarter people, through traveling great distances and spending quite a bit of money to expose myself to other successful lawyers, other successful law firms, was all part of what, in essence, was, looking back on it, I didn't know it at the time, but was part of my growth mindset. At least I would argue that I knew that there was knowledge out there that I did not currently possess. it was what's the saying? You know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So in any event, the whole point of the growth mindset is that you have to get out there and expose yourself to other ideas, other thought processes, in order to expand your overall vision, expand your talent.
Yep. And I think actually all those things that you did do over the last of your 30 years enabled you to stay in that growth mindset rather than kind of transitioning backwards to a closed mindset, because it's not fixed, right? Just because you have a growth mindset 1 decade or even for a few years, it's not like you're going to have it the next year. It's something that you have to constantly work at to stay there.
Yes. In other words, don't become an old curmudgeon, which I have been accused of on more than one occasion lately.
Is that our therapy session?
I think that's part of our therapy session. Is you can certainly vacillate between the different mindsets depending on your circumstances at the moment. So you can certainly backslide into a closed mindset. I know I have been accused of that from time to time.
Well, I do think in your defense, I think that I think it's harder to stay in a growth mindset the longer that you've been at it. And you've been at it for 3 decades, as you've said. And so because you've seen it all, right? You've done it all. And it's a lot harder to say, okay, well, what can we do now with these new facts and this new team that we have and this new set of circumstances and this new technology? How can we look at the same problem of getting new leads, of transitioning those leads into actual clients, and then increasing our ROI and all of these things, decreasing labor, and all that still in a new way. And because it can take I think because it's so hard to stay in a growth mindset, it's important that you stay in a good community.
So Diana, I have been accused from time to time of having a closed mindset, which is antithetical to the way I view myself personally. So that's why today we're going to have a bit of a therapy session, and we're going to kind of go through some of the ways that Marc has had an open mindset and has been very successful. And then maybe some examples of where Marc has backslid a little bit and had a closed mindset. So with that, I look forward to this therapy session.
This podcast is sponsored by Marc Whitehead and Associates, a national disability benefits law firm. Marc Whitehead runs a firm of over 60 dedicated people whose mission is to make a difference in the lives of our injured and disabled clients. Marc represents disabled claimants in Social Security disability, private disability insurance, and veterans disability claims in all 50 states. Marc Whitehead is double board certified in both Social Security disability law and personal injury trial law. Marc has litigated disability cases in over 40 states and counting, and can help your clients too. Stop throwing your phone calls away. Call Marc Whitehead at 701-VIP-LEAD. That's 701-VIP-LEAD. Or visit our website at disabilitydenials.com. Referral fees are paid in all jurisdictions where it is permitted. Refer us your disability cases today and know that your clients will be in good hands.
Okay, Diana, it's time to get into the therapy session.
Well, so I guess this started because my feelings got hurt. Are we really we're gonna do this as a therapy session?
We're going to do this as a therapy session.
Okay, but do you get to bill me for the therapy session, or am I billing you?
It depends who ultimately wins in the end.
Oh my gosh, that's not a growth mindset.
Oh,
a growth mindset allows us both to win.
Backsliding again, you're right. Should be a win-win.
So
Stephen
I think
Covey said win-win.
It was very obvious to me in July after I got back from Asheville. I had just gotten back from the PILMMA Mastermind, which I got to go to and you didn't.
And I was upset about it.
You were upset about it, so I had to keep those feelings in mind. My family and significant others were affected by Hurricane Beryl. I was Beryl that hit us in July. We were without power. So frankly, I should have been thrilled that I was in Asheville. Our thoughts and hearts go out to them, by the way. They were just affected by Hurricane Helene, so we're thinking about them. But that I got to go to Asheville and air conditioning and learn and be with people while a lot of people were not doing so well here in Houston.
Such as myself. I was stuck here in Houston dealing with the aftermath of a hurricane.
So maybe you were very kind of bitter with me when I came back, and I shared with you all of these lovely ideas that I came back after you spent good money lots of good money for me to go to Asheville and learn. And I came back with all of these ideas, and I was very excited.
We were supposed to go to the PILMMA Mastermind together.
You are fixated on that. Your appearance. I think we have gotten to the crux of our therapy session here.
Yes.
Marc was feeling very left out. So that when I came back and I shared with him all of my ideas about that I had come back with, what did you say to me, Marc?
I said, that won't work because...
On nearly I don't use all or never a lot because I try very hard to be, middle of the road. But yeah, I would say on nearly all of my ideas, you came back with, that won't work because, or we've already done that and it won't work. Let me tell you why, or some variation thereof. And so I don't think you realized it, and I certainly didn't realize it, but I left that meeting very discouraged. We still didn't have power, by the way, when I got home. And so, there's always something else going on. So I think that's kind of tip one for your people, for, our listeners. There's always something else going on in life. It's not an excuse. It's just something you have to deal with.
So this is one of the lessons I've learned from that was when you're under stress or when you're just not a happy camper for whatever reason, it is very easy to revert back to your reptilian brain, which is a closed mindset. I'm not certain. I have to talk to my analyst about this, but I'm thinking you came back. I was a little upset I didn't get to go. I was a little jealous that you did get to go. You came back with all of these ideas that didn't have me participating in them in any way, and my reptilian brain just shut down.
And I do think it goes back to some of the things that we've talked about either on this podcast or just in our own conversations, that it can be very hard after 30 years. You've done it all. You've seen it all. There is really with the exception of AI and the new things that technology can bring, it's very hard to bring you a new idea, Marc. Really. It really is. Especially in terms of marketing.
Yes, and I get that. And that is a constant problem. It's very hard to impress me because I have seen it all before.
And done it all and tried it all.
I've done it all. I've tried it all. I've seen all the snake oil salesmen that, and I know all their pitches. And I know all their financial angles. And if I haven't seen it crash and burn in my own firm, I've seen it crash and burn in other people's firms. So yeah, I can get, I guess that's part of it. Mm-hmm. That's the old crotchety man syndrome, as you get older and if you've seen it all and you've seen what works and you've seen what doesn't work, the danger is that your once open mind could start to close just based on the fact that you've seen so many things crash and burn over the years.
Well, and your world becomes the things that you know, which really, to your point about using your reptilian brain, that's where your brain feels comfortable. I have seen it. I know it. I'm comfortable. I know these things. And so it's hard to bring new facts into that to continue to have your growth mindset. I will say, as the visionary integrator relationship, when you and I are both able to maintain a growth mindset and have that kind of a conversation, I think really great ideas have come from that. Really great conversations. And I think that energy spills out onto the team around us.
All right. So back to the therapy session. What should I have done when you came back with all of these ideas as opposed to having the closed mindset, that won't work? What would have been a growth mindset response?
Oh, that's easy. Diana, you're brilliant.
Okay, no, you're not going to get off that easy.
No, you're right. No, I think that, it's the sandwich. You talk a lot about the sandwich methodology with our leaders in terms of when you're giving criticism in private, of course. What does that look like?
The sandwich methodology is simply start with something positive, put the negative in the middle, that's the sandwich meat, and end with something positive.
Exactly. So one of the things that you sent me to PILMMA, to Asheville, to figure out and to kind of get the insight of our other mastermind family was for example, just unique marketing ways to reach our clients and it was increased client referrals. And so one of our PILMMA Mastermind colleagues suggested the Good RX cards. You remember? And
Yes.
I could tell the smirk. It was right there.
Yes.
Because what'd you say?
I said, we've already tried that.
Yep, exactly. And so, but where did you try it?
We tried it I think we just basically put a bunch of them on the counter next to our business cards. And I think that's probably all we ever did with it.
Exactly. And how much foot traffic do we get into our office?
None.
Exactly. So what I had suggested and what they had suggested, because now we're thinking about all these different win packages and all these different ways that we can reach our former clients, was to put that in either the welcome packet or maybe at the end with our logo on it. So increasing or changing the distribution of the exact same marketing, not channel, but marketing opportunity.
So the growth mindset response to that scenario would have been, number one, start with a positive, which is, Diana, that's an interesting idea. Mm-hmm. Or even better yet, it's a great idea, depending on what you really think about it. We've tried it in the past, and this is the roadblock that we came up against that caused it not to work, which was we did not have a proper distribution channel. We didn't properly have a methodology for distributing it in a way that would benefit both the client and spread good word of mouth about us.
And I think that that's a perfect way, especially for the visionary and either current or future visionaries listening to the podcast. That's a great opportunity for you to turn it over to your team and let them get buy-in on the idea and let them be part of the new solution. So it could have been, hey, we tried it. This was our roadblock before. What do you think about, how did you see this working in where we are now?
Right. So exactly. So you always start with, I mean, there are ideas that are just bad ideas. Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. We're not, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. If it's a bad ideal, it's a bad idea. But if the premise of the ideal is laudable or has possibility, but you've tried it in the past, or you can see in your own mind that quote unquote, it won't work. The open mindset wouldn't frame it won't work. It would frame it more of I see an obstacle in the way. Mm-hmm. How do you think you might address this obstacle? Exactly. And give that person the opportunity to take it to the next step.
Yeah. And I would caution that for all the other visionaries listening, that if every idea your team brings to you is a sow's ear, then maybe it's not your team. Maybe, you're burnt out. And we need to reframe our own current mindset, because not every idea, hopefully, that your team's bringing you is bad. I mean, it's just, that's a statistical impossibility.
Yes, let's hope so.
Fair.
That's
fair.
It's
a statistical
really
possibility that your team's not going to bring you all bad ideas. But if you're turning down everything, and if all you can think about are all the reasons why things aren't working, I mean, especially I'd say this time of year, we're filming as we begin almost at the beginning of Q4, and people are run down. So don't forget that. And I think one of the things that you said, talking to yourself has helped you through the years, Marc.
Yes. Affirmations, whether they're a formalized affirmation or whether they're just me giving myself a pep talk from time to time. Before we want to get into that, I did want to close the loop on that last part real quickly, which is how your particular day is going at that moment can really affect your mindset. And if you find yourself like thinking everybody's dumb and everybody's got dumb ideas, you need to step back and reflect upon yourself. Am I just having a bad day? Mm-hmm. Is there something wrong with my attitude today? Something pissed me off? Did my kid piss me off? Did my dog piss me off? What happened? Was I cut off in traffic? What is it about this day that's making me sort of that old crotchety man, which I've been accused of? And I get it. There are times when I'm having a day for whatever reason, and the flip to that is that you coming to me and seeing me, maybe Marc's having a closed mindset kind of day. Maybe today's not the day to approach him with that idea. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's a good time to discuss, hey, Marc, are you having a bad day? What's going on? Can we talk through your bad day, maybe get past that part to open that mind back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I might even preface it with something along the lines of, hey, Marc, I got a wild idea. And before you say no, I at least want you to open your mind to the possibility and hear me out.
Will that work?
I think it would. I would love it. I would love it. I think that would be a grand way to kind of approach the topic, especially when you know you've got an idea that might be outside the box.
All of my ideas are inside the box.
Oh, well,
I'll
another
still try it.
podcast. Well, that's your therapy session. That will be your therapy session.
I will
next
still
podcast.
try it. I think that's a very good, I think that's a great point. And especially for the integrators listening, it's a good way to make sure you take care of your visionary.
So you were leading into the topic of affirmations. So I wrote an article once on daily affirmations, which is a more formalized way to do this. It's almost like sort of doing some sort of daily meditation, kind of in that vein. Again, one of those touchy-feely things that
That you love?
we've already established in prior podcasts that I am just not a big proponent of. Although I think they work in other people.
Just not you?
They just haven't seemed to catch with me. So here's the closest I have come to meditation, which is
The affirmations?
the daily affirmations.
Okay.
And even that has not really stuck over the long run. I kind of do it. I kind of get away from it. I kind of do it. I come back to it. I kind of almost don't even like the word daily affirmations because even that seems a little touchy feely to me. I kind of like the idea of this, just giving myself a pep talk. Just a mental pep talk.
Yeah.
Same thing, same concept, just a different way of expressing it in a kind of a more old crotchety man sort of way.
I think that you're onto something with that though, because I don't do affirmations. My little one has an affirmation though that we do before she goes to school, and it's important, and I think that it's good. So a quick detour. So Inside Out 2, have you heard about it?
It's the movie, the animated movie, right?
Animated movie.
And there's 1 and there's 2.
Very good, Mark.
And I know my kids talked favorably of 1. I didn't see it. I know the concept. I know what it is.
I'm going to try not to ruin it for the listeners, but we might need to put a spoiler alert. I may ruin Inside Out 2 for any listeners. But there's the Inside Out 2 is about emotions, and she's got 4 primary, the main character has 4 primary emotions in Inside Out 1. Inside Out 2, she introduces more complex emotions as she goes through puberty and grows up. And it's all about how she views herself, and that's what the movie is about. And by the end of the movie, it's kind of this whole it's not just I am a good person. It's, or I am a good friend. It's, oh, well, I hurt my friend today, and but I'm still a good friend. And it's kind of a complex way of looking at yourself. But she has to go through some very hard times, has a panic attack, anxiety rules her life for a while. It's a great movie for adults, and obviously children. But I think that's what I would say that works for me, because, sometimes I fall short. Going back to what you were talking about, there are some days where I close my door and I tell the close-knit people, including our producer, I'm like, my door's closed. I'm not fit for people today. Please, I'm here, but I'm really not. I'm not fit for people today. So, allow me to have this time. And they do. They have a great buffer around me to allow me to have that space until I can get my mind right, because my leadership can definitely affect 50 other people in a split second. And if I don't have the right mindset, the right affirmation in my head, the right something in my head that's telling me that I can do this job and do it well, then I can absolutely ruin 50 other people's day so fast.
And I have seen it time after time after time where something is going on, and I know for a fact if I said what I was thinking, I would totally blow up the room, so I don't say anything.
Yep.
I look at you and I can see if you said what you were thinking, you would totally blow up the room. And I just see your mind working. Yeah, and I can see it's
right there.
It's like a visual computer. I can see the ones and the zeros computing in your head. I need to formulate an appropriate response at this moment. And you do. You are amazingly good at that.
I've had my slips, but thank you.
Very rarely. So, yes, but I can see your mind working.
Yep.
Whereas on my end of it, my mind says anything you say right now is going to turn out bad. So I just shut up and I let you talk.
Yeah, and I think that is, again, that is the dynamic of our relationship and our leadership styles. And so in my head, it's not the affirmation. It is very much like, it's not, for example, I am kind and I am confident and I am a few of the other affirmations that you might think of. It's like, you know what? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Mm-hmm. That's a popular one in my head. And just certain different things that allow me to be, it's like a grounding mechanism. That's a very popular tool with that therapists use. And it is for me changing the words and the cycle of words in my head. Okay.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to go through a formula, a process on how to develop your own personal affirmations, or pep talks, as I like to call them. And then I'm going to share some of my favorite ones.
Oh, you get to be vulnerable?
I'm going to be vulnerable and share some of mine. And I'm going to hope that Diana shares some of hers. I don't know if she is or she isn't, but, you know, she hadn't copyrighted them yet. So, trademarked them. She hadn't trademarked them yet. So with that, we'll be right back.
This is Marc Whitehead, lawyer, entrepreneur, and business coach. Thanks for listening to the Successful Barrister Podcast. We have a blast making it and hope you find value in our podcast. If we stirred your juices, hit me up with an email at marc@marcwhitehead.com. Marc is spelled with a C. And get on the Successful Barrister newsletter mailing list. Even better, let's set up a call. I would love to talk to you about working together, talk shop, or just shoot the breeze.
All right, so this last section, we're going to talk a little bit more about the effective use of affirmations, or as I like to say, self-pep talks. Mm-hmm. All right, so I read a book recently called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And Hal had a methodology for creating effective daily affirmations or pep talks. And he basically talked about, you know, what is an effective affirmation? I mean, there's something that reminds us of our objectives and drive our subconscious. That reptilian brain again coming out. So if we do them properly, it can lead to a successful mental outlook. So here is his guidelines for creating effective daily affirmations. Number 1, use present tense. So state the affirmation as if they were already true, which I liked it. Sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, use positive language. This is an affirmation, of course. So focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. So a daily affirmation would be, I hope I don't get diagnosed with cancer today. That would not be a great day. Yeah. Great daily affirmation. Keep it simple. Simple language is more powerful. Include action words, such things that inspire movement or motivation. Oh, I like the one movement. Like get off your ass and go ride your bike or something. Get some exercise.
Don't give me your day job as a lawyer. Motivational seeker. I'm future.
I would make a killing as a motivational speaker.
Get off your ass.
Get off your ass. Hey, work for Tony Robbins. And use feeling words. Oh, this is my hard one. Connect emotionally to your goals. Okay, so the last one, connect emotionally to your goals, may not be where my strengths are. So I'm going to give you one that I came up with.
Mm-hmm. One of your own affirmations?
One of my affirmations. I consistently spot opportunities and utilize them. New doors are always opening for me. Okay, so we're speaking in the present tense. I'm speaking in the positive. And I'm sort of predicting the future. New doors are always...
manifesting.
Yeah, I'm manifesting. New doors are always opening for me. I really like that one. Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite T-shirts I had back in college was Carpe Diem. It said Carpe Diem across the front. Do you know what Carpe Diem means?
Seize the day.
Yes. That's why I hired you, because you're a smart person. Seize the day. And I've always loved... that saying, Carpe Diem, seize the day. It made me look smart, you know, back then, and it's 30 years ago in college. A lot of people didn't know what Carpe Diem meant. Today, I think most people do, but seize the day.
I think they just say YOLO.
Is that what it is? I'm.
You only live once.
Okay. I'm not sure that means the same thing, but
what are you trying to say?
We'll go with it for the moment. So seize the day. Every day is an opportunity.
All right.
Every day that, you know, you're above ground is an opportunity to go out there and either learn something new or go create something of value or go make a connection with a human being or improve on any of those things that you've already started. So every day is an opportunity. So make the most of every day's opportunity. Unless, of course, you're going to have one of those Steve Riley relaxed days where, but
You're
of
not
course,
supposed to do any work.
where you're not supposed to do anything.
Yeah.
And I have
Or
a
check
hard
working mail
I have a
or
hard
any
time doing that. That's one of Steve Riley's things that I just don't necessarily get down with.
I'm going to hope Steve doesn't listen to this one.
Steve, don't listen to this podcast. This podcast sucks. Don't listen to this podcast. It's all about seizing the opportunity for the day. New doors are always opening. That's one of the greatest things I've ever told my kids is every time something bad happens to them, I said, every time a door closes, another door opens. Well, just for an example, I had a child who will remain nameless, who I think one time I'm remembering a long time ago did make a certain cheer squad. And I kind of had to have that conversation. All right, well, that door closed, but another one opened. And the other one that opened was the opportunity to be on the swim team instead.
Oh.
Of which led to other things, which led to her meeting her boyfriend, which turned into her fiance, which turned into her husband. So one door closed, another door opened. I might have that timeline slightly off. She might dispute that, but that's my recollection of how it all panned out.
And it works.
And that's the story works.
The story works.
The story absolutely.
New doors are always opening.
Yes. All right. So as another one here that I like. The power is within me. I learn from the past, live in the now, and plan for the future. I love that one.
Yeah?
I do. Because number one, I learn from the past, but I don't live in it.
So it can be forward looking.
Yes, it's forward looking. One of my favorite sayings, never trip over what's behind you.
Yeah.
Your past is your past. You're moving on. Live in the now. In other words, be present, be focused on the now. Enjoy the now. Don't be always worried about the future. Like I'm suffering now for a better tomorrow. Enjoy the now. Enjoy the journey. Whether or not your plans come to fruition, the act of planning has value in and of itself. Because it makes you think, it makes you analyze, it makes you think about the possibilities.
Well, and just planning for the future in and of itself implies a growth mindset, right? You've got to imagine something different than what you have now.
Right. All right. So give me some of yours. I want to hear what Diana has to think.
I will say I don't do affirmations either. I do more mantra affirmations, I think. But I can't think of that one.
Explain a mantra affirmation. I don't know.
I do a series of 3. And so when I was having problems sleeping through a particular difficult time in my life, I was, and so that's why it worked, I think, for me, because so it's 3 affirmations. So that breaks your cycle of whatever's keeping you up at night. I am blessed. I am grateful. I am sleepy. That was my affirmation. And that always, still to this day it works. But I will say, so I had, no, I didn't have. One of the things, I have a little one. She's not quite in middle school yet. And since she was old enough to go to school, she's had an affirmation. So I did create one for my child. So this is part of it. Hers starts with, and this is a lot shorter. I am kind. I am strong. I am brave. I am smart. I am loved. I am never alone. I will do good and I will be good. I also try to have her add, I am a hard worker and I can do hard things. So she has some present, some future tense in there, but I think it's important for her to understand the impact of doing good when we were trying not to pull each other's hair in kindergarten.
All right. So you don't have any yourself, but you
No.
have your daughters.
Yeah.
So do you copy your daughters?
She has tried to get me to make this some reciprocal thing. I'm like, no, I ain't got time.
That's why your daughter is so smart.
She is.
Because
pretty
she's
fantastic.
absolutely right. You should do that with your daughter.
She actually wrote one out for me. You were so kind to let her be up here, probably when she was sick. We were talking about sick kids before this podcast. And she wrote one out for me, and I'm sure it's still somewhere in my office. It's a makeshift office right now. So I think it is important to reframe the way you think. And in that way, you stay in a growth mindset, which enables you to increase the bottom line.
All right. Yeah, so here's my last one. I have like dozens, but I don't want to bore you with everyone. Here's one of my favorite ones. I'm always prepared, so luck always favors me. I love that one. And I think a lot of people have heard the saying, luck favors the prepared or favors the hard worker or something along. I've heard different variations of it. But there's another, I can't remember if it was a philosopher or book I read or somewhere along the lines, but, everybody gets lucky. Everybody. The question is, what do you do with your luck?
No, that's a good question.
Some people are prepared to act on their luck, are prepared to take the opportunities that luck presents them, and other people squander their luck. I think that was in a Jim Collins book, as a matter of fact. He was looking at companies, and it wasn't Good to Great. I think it was one of the subsequent books. But he was looking at the companies, and a lot of companies that were equally situated at some point, the ones that took the opportunities, that exploited the luck that came their way, were the ones that were successful, versus the companies that didn't exploit the luck that just happened to come their way were the not so successful. And he had a whole study of it.
Are you sure it wasn't Good to Great?
It could have been Good to Great. I was thinking it was one of the books after Good to Great, but they start to, in my mushy old mind, start to bleed together from time to time.
I do think you're right, though, that if luck favors everyone, whoever said it and whatever book said it, I do think that they do. It just, can you even recognize that luck has favored you? And to do so, you have to be in a growth mindset.
All right. So as we wrap up, want to recommend the two books that we've talked about, which is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. An excellent, excellent book. And the second book, The
Miracle Morning.
By Hal Elrod. Now, that book was a little tougher for me. I really liked the daily affirmations section of the book. The problem that didn't land so well with me was the Miracle Morning, because I am so not a morning person.
I think I need to pick this one up.
I think you might have to. It would probably work well for you. This morning, as a matter of fact, I was going to get up and work out. And I just woke up and I'm like, no, the body's just not there this morning. I'm not a morning person. I don't care how hard I try. I don't think I'll ever turn myself into a morning person. So Hal and I may not be on the same page there, but at least we like affirmations. All right, with that, and with that self-pep talk and that therapy session, we're going to have to draw it to a close for today. I want to thank everybody for listening to the Successful Barrister Podcast, where legal legends are made. I'm Marc.
And I'm Diana.
And together we are the dynamic duo of law. So remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, tell your friends, your family, forward it around. Help us build an audience. Visit us at successfulbarrister.com, and be sure to visit our sponsor, Marc Whitehead and Associates, a national disability law firm, at disabilitydenials.com. And we're out of here.
Bye.